Y'all have got to listen up. Listen up close. Sand Mountain, Alabama. Doesn't look like much if you're just passing through. It's a long stretch of ridge land sitting quiet above the valley. The trees are thick as sin. Dirt roads twisting like they don't want you finding your way back out. It's the kind of place where folks mind their own business, and whatever lives in the woods, well, it gets to keep its secrets. But once a year, that whole mountain comes alive. They call it a music festival, but that ain't quite the truth. It's more like a backwoods explosion of everything folks have been holding in all year long. Thousands of people flood in. Trucks, campers, tents, bonfires, music echoing through the hills day and night. Moonshine passing hand to hand in mason jars. Girls wearing flowers in their hair. Barefoot in the dirt. Men hollering, laughing, fighting, and loving. It's wild, loose, free. And that right there, folks, that's what makes it dangerous. Now up on Whiskey Ridge, things were quiet. Maybe even too quiet. Wendy sat on the porch, boots kicked up on the railing, glass of something strong in her hand, watching the sun melt behind the beautiful mountains. Wind rolled soft through the trees, carrying that familiar Appalachian scent, pine, dirt, and something way older. Home. Asa was inside, messing with the radio, trying to pull in a decent station with all the damn static. Venus, she was out back, sharpening a blade she really didn't need. But somehow, sharpening her blade calmed her nerves. And that's when Wendy's implant lit up, a sharp pulse behind her eyes. She didn't move at first, she just sighed. Took him long enough. She tapped the side of her head. "Yeah, I'm here." The voice that came through wasn't casual, wasn't friendly. It was tight, but controlled. The kind of tone that meant something had already went wrong. "Wendy, we've got a situation developing in Alabama." She sat up straighter. "Okay, define situation." "Multiple missing persons. It's a rural event. Local law enforcement has requested federal silence." That made her frown. "Silence?" "Well, we believe it may be a non-human predator." And inside the cabin, Asa went totally still. She could hear enough through Wendy's voice to know this wasn't normal. Venus stepped through the doorway slow, blade still in her hand. Wendy stood up now, pacing just a little. "All right, where exactly?" "Sand Mountain, just outside Fort Payne." Asa muttered under her breath. "Oh, hell." Venus crossed her arms. "You mean that music festival?" Wendy nodded once, still listening. The voice continued. "Disappearances began 3 nights ago. At first, everybody assumed it was intoxication, wandering, or exposure." "Yeah, that tracks," Wendy said flat. But then evidence was recovered. Wendy stopped pacing, her jaw tightened. "Okay, what kind of evidence?" The answer came slower this time. "Heavy trauma, partial remains. 6 miles away from the festival, 30 feet up a pine tree, half of a torso." Silence settled over the entire porch. Asa let out a low whistle. "Oh, hell no!" Venus didn't say a word, but her grip tightened on that blade. Wendy stared out into the trees and her voice dropped. "Dogman." The line went quiet. "That is our working theory. Now here's the thing about dogmen. They ain't like your average predator. They do not hunt sloppy, and they don't leave easy trails. And they sure as hell don't make mistakes like that unless they want to be seen. Local authorities, Wendy asked. Being controlled, voice replied carefully. They've restricted information. Official reports list animal activity. No public warnings beyond general safety advisories. Wendy scoffed. Yeah, like that'll keep folks safe. There are over 5,000 civilians on that mountain. That hit different. Wendy glanced back at Asa and Venus. They were already ready. They always were. When did we move? Wendy asked. Immediately. The line went dead. Nobody spoke for a second. Then Asa grabbed her jacket. Well, I guess our party's over, ain't it? Venus slid the blade into its sheath. Sounds like it's just getting started, girl. Wendy stepped off the porch. Pack light. We ain't going as guests. The drive into Alabama took them through winding back roads and long stretches of nothing. The kind of roads where headlights feel too small for the darkness around them. They didn't talk much. They didn't need to. Each of them was already running scenarios in their head. Missing people. Fucking body parts in trees. Remote terrain. Mass gathering. Storm season just starting to stir up. Yo, it all stacked wrong. And by the time they got close, they could hear it before they saw it. Music. Deep bass thumping through the night like a heartbeat. Lights flickering through the trees, and then frickin' smell hit. Smoke, alcohol, and sweat. And underneath it all, something else. Faint, rotting. They parked just outside the main flow of traffic. People were everywhere. Laughing, dancing, stumbling, loving. Nobody looking over their shoulder. Nobody thinking about what might be watching them from just beyond the tree line. Wendy leaned against the truck, scanning the crowd. All right, rule number 1. Asa smirked. Don't become part of the buffet. Venus cracked the smallest grin. Stay close, stay aware. A group of festival goers passed by, one of them holding a jar up. Y'all drinking or what? Asa gave a half laugh. Maybe later, sweetheart. They moved on, carefree, clueless. Wendy's eyes drifted toward the woods, dark, still, and waiting. And that's when she felt it. That itch, that pull. That instinct that lived deeper than bone. Something out there was already watching them. Wendy spoke low. All right. We're not going to do this as human. Asa nodded. Oh, I was hoping he was going to say that. Venus stepped closer to the tree line. Yo, let's go hunt. They slipped into the woods like shadows, and just beyond the reach of the music, they changed. Bones cracked, muscles twisted, skin shifted. That familiar burn rolled through them as 3 women became something else entirely. Faster, stronger, deadlier. 3 wolves stood where they had been, eyes glowing faint in the dark, golden. Ears twitching, nose lifted to the wind. And that's when they caught it. Clear as day now. That scent. It was old blood, wet fur, and something wrong. Wendy lowered her head. A low growl rumbled from her chest. There you are. Deep in the woods, something moved. And far above the mountain, clouds began to gather. The music, it didn't follow them far. It faded quick once Wendy and her sister slipped past that last ring of lantern light and into the trees. And out there, bass turned into a dull thump, like a heartbeat buried under dirt. And then even that was gone. Now it was just woods, just wind. Just darkness thick enough to swallow a man whole, or a woman. 3 wolves moved through it like ghosts, silent, low to the ground, each step placed with purpose. Wendy led, her nose cutting through the layers of scent that clung to Sand Mountain. Dirt, pine, damp leaves, old animal trails, and the smell of the Tennessee River. And then, there it was again, that wrongness, rot, iron, copper, metallic. Wet fur that hadn't been cleaned in a damn long time. Nasty ass animal. Behind them, the festival kept right on going. Didn't matter what people were missing. Didn't matter that something was out there hunting. Folks laughed, danced, and passed around jars and flowers, letting that sweet, skunky haze drift through the night. You could smell it even out here, faint but present. That relaxed, floaty feel rolling off the crowd like fog. Wendy says, "Wow, that shit's loud." It made him slower, careless, easy. Asa broke off to the left, circling wide. Venus veered right. They didn't need to speak. They didn't need to look. That implant tied them together deeper than words ever could. 3 minds, hunting as one. Wendy slowed, her ears twitched. Something had changed. The woods weren't just quiet anymore. Now they were empty. No insects, no night birds, no small animals rustling through brush. Nothing. That's when she found it. A shoe. Half buried in the dirt, still laced, still tied, and still fresh. Wendy lowered her head, sniffing. Human scent, male, sweat, fear, recent. Asa reappeared beside her, her hackles raised. Venus stepped in from the opposite side. They all smelled it now. That fear didn't end here. It ran. And something followed. They took off, fast, through brush, over fallen logs, weaving between trees, like shadows on a mission. The scent trail zigzagged, erratic, panicked. He had been running blind, running hard, running like he knew damn well something was right behind him. And then they found blood. It hit them all at once, strong, fresh, copper, thick in the air. Wendy slowed, stepping into a small clearing. And that's where they found him. Or should I say, what was left of him. The body, man, it was twisted wrong. Torso torn open like something had dug in and pulled. One arm missing completely. The other bent at an angle that didn't belong to this world. And his face, his eyes were still open. Frozen wide with terror. Asa let out a low, angry growl. Venus turned her head slightly, scanning the tree line. Wendy didn't move. She didn't blink. This wasn't just a kill. This was a freaking message. The wounds weren't clean. They weren't efficient. They were violent, messy. Like whatever did this enjoyed it. Then Wendy noticed something else. The body hadn't been eaten. Not really. There were 2 bites, tears. But most of the meat was still there. That made her stomach twist. Jesus Christ, this thing ain't hunting for food. This thing's hunting for fun. A low rumble built in her chest. Not fear, not yet. Something close. Behind them, a branch snapped. All 3 heads whipped toward the sound. Stillness, darkness, and nothing. But the scent, the mood was way stronger now. Closer, and watching. Venus took a slow step forward. Teeth bared. Asa shifted her stance, ready to spring. Wendy held them still. Wait, girls. The wind shifted just a little, and just enough, and then they saw it. 2 golden eyes, high up, reflecting faint light through the trees, too high for any normal animal, steady for something that was scared. The shape moved, slow, deliberate, stepping from behind one tree to another, always just out of full view. Big, really big. A low, guttural sound rolled through the woods. No, not quite a growl, not quite a laugh. But damn, it was close to both. The Dogman. It didn't charge, it didn't run, and it damn sure didn't hide. It circled. It was testing them. Asa took a step forward, muscles coiling. Venus mirrored her. But Wendy held her ground. Eyes locked on that shifting shadow. Because now she knew something. This thing wasn't surprised at all. It had known they were here, maybe from the moment they stepped onto that mountain. And worse, wasn't even afraid. The creature moved again, just enough for moonlight to catch it. It had long limbs, broad chest, fur matted and dark. And that head, oh my freaking God, the head, that twisted wolf-like face stretched into something almost human in the worst possible way. It tilted its head, studying them. Then it did something that made even Wendy hesitate. It fucking smiled. No, not like an animal. Not like a predator. Like it understood exactly what it was looking at. And then, poof, it was gone. No sound, no warning. Just vanished into the trees like it had never been there at all. Asa spun in place, searching. Venus darted forward a few steps before stopping, but Wendy stayed still, listening, smelling, and waiting, but nothing. Only the distant echo of music far behind them, and the slow roll of thunder building somewhere beyond the mountain. Asa shifted back first, bones cracking as she took human form again. Did you see that damn thing? Venus followed, breath heavy. Yo, that wasn't normal. Wendy shifted last. Her eyes stayed on the woods. Yeah, it's not just hunting. She turned slowly toward them. It's playing with us, like we're its toys. Lightning flickered far off in the distance, just for a second, but it lit the sky enough to show what was coming. Storm clouds looking ugly, thick, heavy. North Alabama thunderstorm rolling in fast. Venus looked up. That ain't good. Asa shook her head. Yeah, this night just keeps getting better and better and freaking better. Wendy took one last look at the tree line, at the darkness where that thing had disappeared. Next time we see it, her voice dropped low, cold. We don't let it walk away. Thunder cracked again, closer now, louder. And somewhere out there in them woods, something howled. Not in fear, but in anticipation. Folks, you see, a North Alabama thunderstorm in those mountains, they are not gentle. Doesn't leave gentle, it doesn't arrive gentle. Most of them come in like they got somewhere to be. By the time Wendy and her sisters made their way back toward the edge of the festival, the wind had already started whispering through the trees. Not loud yet, just enough to make the lanterns sway and the flames on the bonfires dance a little wild. Most folks didn't think nothing of it. They were too busy living and loving. Music still blaring, people still laughing, that sweet haze of flowers drifting through the air, mixing with sweat and whiskey and bad decisions. A girl stumbled past barefoot, giggling. I think I've been hitting the flowers and the whiskey too much. I can't read. A girl stumbled past barefoot, giggling, a crown of wilted flowers on her head and eyes glassy as hell. Asa muttered. They ain't got a clue. Venus shook her head slow. They sitting in the middle of a damn feeding crowd. Wendy wasn't looking at the crowd. She was looking at the sky. It had changed. That deep night black had turned green. A sickly green. The kind that don't belong anywhere near a clear mind. And the wind picked up again. Stronger now. Colder. Carrying a low hum that didn't sit right in your bones. Wendy spoke low, urgent. We're running out of time. Asa frowned. For what? Storm or the freaking mud? Wendy didn't look away from the sky. Both. Another crack of thunder rolled over the mountain. Closer, louder, longer. And that's when the first scream hit. Not playful, not drunk. Real. All three of them turned at once. The sound came from deeper inside the festival, past the stage, past the tents, toward the darker stretch where the lights didn't reach as well. Then another scream, and then total chaos. People started running. First, just a few, then more, then a flood of people. Bodies crashing into each other, knocking over tables, spilling jars, trampling blankets and gear. What the hell is going on? Somebody yelled. Someone's gone, another voice shouted. I saw blood. Wendy didn't wait. Move! They pushed through the crowd fast. Eyes sharp now, senses cutting through the noise. And even through all that chaos, they smelled it. Fresh, hot blood. They broke past a clutter of panicked festival goers and found it. A campsite, well, or at least what used to be one. The tent was shredded. Not torn by wind, not collapsed. Shredded. Deep claw marks ripped through the fabric. Stakes pulled clean out of the ground. Sleeping bags were scattered. A cooler flipped over, its contents spilled and forgotten. And in the dirt, drag mark. Long, heavy, wet. Venus crouched low, fingers brushing the ground. This one was taken alive. Asa looked around, eyes blazing. But where? Wendy already knew. She lifted her head slightly, tracking. And then she saw it. Drops of blood leading away. Into the woods. Lightning split the sky overhead, bright enough to turn night into day for just a second. And in that flash, Wendy saw the trees bend. Not from wind, from movement. Something big and moving fast. She turned sharp. It's close. Another scream echoed. This one cut off halfway. That did it. They shifted mid-stride, right there between terrified people and scattered tents, bones snapping, bodies dropping low as fur replaced skin. In a blur of motion, most folks were too panicked to even notice. 3 wolves tore into the tree line. The world changed instantly. No more lights, no more music, no more safety, just the hunt. And rain started then. Light at first. Cold raindrops tapping against leaves. Wendy followed the scent hard now. It was stronger than ever. And mixed in with it, fear. Fresh, panicked, and still alive. Good. They pushed deeper. Faster. The storm building with every step. Wind now howling through the trees, branches creaking, leaves thrashing like the whole forest was waking up angry. Then they heard it. A struggle. Snarling, growling. Not one voice. Wendy burst into a small clearing, and there it was, the Dogman. Full in the open now. No more hiding, no more games. It stood massive in the rain. One arm wrapped around a screaming man it had lifted clean off the ground like he weighed nothing. The victim kicked and fought, blood running down his leg where teeth had already found him. And the Dogman, it looked right at Wendy, like it had been waiting. It dropped the man, not careless, not rushed, deliberate. The human hit the ground hard, scrambling, crawling, dragging himself away in blind terror. But the Dogman didn't chase him. didn't even look. Its full attention locked on the three wolves in front of it. Rain poured harder now, wind whipping through the clearing. Thunder cracking so loud it shook the ground. Wendy stepped forward. Slow control. This was it. But something felt off. Dogman didn't attack, and it didn't retreat. It paced side to side, watching, testing. They didn't let out a sound. Did not belong in this world. A howl, but twisted, broken, almost layered, like more than one voice was buried inside that damn thing. Asa growled low. I don't like that. Venus's ears flattened. Yo, that ain't natural. Wendy didn't respond, but her eyes narrowed. Because she felt it now. The pressure in the air. The storm wasn't just coming anymore. It was here. The wind shifted hard, sudden, violent. Trees bent. Branches snapped. Debris started lifting off the forest floor, and then they heard it. That unmistakable freight train roar, a tornado. Deep, rolling, unstoppable. Dogman's head snapped toward the sound. For the first time, it hesitated. Wendy saw her movement. She lunged, but the creature was faster. It leapt back into the trees just as the wind exploded through the clearing. The storm hit like a freight train. Dirt, leaves, branches, everything ripped into air. The man they'd just seen disappeared into the chaos, his scream swallowed whole by the roar. Wendy dug her claws into the ground, fighting the pull. Asa slid sideways, barely catching herself against a tree. Venus ducked low, fur whipping wild in the wind. They couldn't fight this, not like this. Wendy turned, forcing her voice through the storm. Fall back! They ran. Not hunting now, surviving. The tornado tore through Sand Mountain like it meant to erase it. Trees snapping, ground shaking, air screaming so loud it drowned out thought itself. But Wendy kept pushing forward. She knew this terrain just enough. Knew what they needed. Shelter, deep, solid. And then she saw it. A break in the rock, half hidden, dark, a cave. She veered hard toward it. Others followed without question. They dove inside just as the full force of the storm slammed across the mountainside. And then, darkness, stillness, silence. Compared to the hell outside. Rain pounded the entrance. Wind howled past like something alive and angry. The whole mountain felt like it was shaking apart. Wendy took a step deeper inside, breathing heavy. Asa and Venus shifted back to human, soaked, dirt streaked, eyes wide. Nobody spoke, because something wasn't right. Not in here. That smell, it was back, stronger than ever. And then, from the cave entrance, through the rain, through the storm, a shadow moved. Tall, broad, familiar. And just like that, the hunt followed them inside. The storm outside was screaming like the world was ending. Wind howling past the cave mouth, rain slamming sideways against the rock. Thunder cracking so hard it rattled your teeth. Every now and then, lightning would flash, and just for a split second, the whole entrance lit up white, then dropped right back into darkness. Inside, different kind of quiet, heavy, thick, kind that presses in on your chest. Wendy didn't move, Wendy didn't blink. Her eyes were locked on the entrance. That smell filled the cave now, no mistaking it. Rot, wet fur, and old blood. And Asa wiped rain from her face, breath still uneven. Tell me that ain't what I think it is. Venus didn't answer. She didn't need to. They all heard it. A slow, measured footstep. Not rushed, not panicked, but coming closer. Another flash of lightning outside, and just for a heartbeat, they saw it. Standing in the mouth of the cave, Dogman. Rain rolled off its body in sheets, fur slicked down, chest rising and falling slow, like it wasn't winded at all. Its eyes caught that flash of light, glowing faint, locked straight onto them. It stepped inside, not running from the storm, choosing the cave and choosing them. Asa let out a low, dangerous laugh under her breath. Well, ain't that convenient? Venus shifted her stance, shoulders squaring. Thing don't even know what it just walked into. Wendy finally moved, one step forward, slow, controlled. Her voice dropped low, cold as that storm outside. Okay, then let's educate it. Bones cracked. All three of them shifted at once. The skin tore into fur. Bodies dropped low. Muscles coiling with that familiar, violent grace. Three wolves stood where those women had been, bigger than anything natural. Eyes glowing gold in the dark, teeth bared. The cave, it got smaller really fast. The Dogman froze just for a second. And in that second, something changed. It understood this wasn't prey. But it was too damn late for realizations. Wendy lunged first. She hit it like a damn freight train. Claws sank deep into its shoulder, slamming it sideways into the cave wall with a crack of bone against stone. Dogman roared, loud, furious, snapping its jaws toward her throat. But Asa was already there. She came in low, fast, jaws clamping down on its back leg with bone-crushing force. The creature buckled, balance gone in an instant. Venus didn't hesitate. She went for the kill, straight for the throat. The Dogman twisted, faster than anything that size had a right to be, catching her across the shoulder with a swipe that sent her skidding across the cave floor. She hit hard, rolled, snarled, and got back up. Blood hit the stone. Now it was angry. Now it fought. It swung wild, claws slicing through air, catching Wendy across the ribs just enough to tear fur and draw a little blood. Its jaws snapped, teeth clashing inches with Asa's skull as she held on tight, dragging it down. But it was outnumbered, outmatched, 3 against 1. And these weren't animals. These were hunters built for this exact moment. Wendy came back in from the front, slamming her full weight into its chest, forcing it back. Asa wrenched its leg sideways with a sickening pop. And that's when Venus struck again. This time, she didn't miss. Her jaws locked around its throat. Deep, brutal, final. The Dogman let out one last sound. Not a roar, not a howl. Something broken. Something that knew it was done. And then everything went still. The storm was still raging outside. But inside that cave, there was nothing left but heavy breathing and the slow drip of blood onto stone. Wendy stepped back first, chest heaving, eyes still locked on the body, waiting just in case. But it didn't move, and it didn't breathe, and it didn't come back. Asa released her grip, shaking out her jaw. Damn thing hit harder than I ever thought it would. Venus pulled back slow, blood dark against her fur. Yeah, and it still wasn't enough. They shifted back, one by one, bones cracking, breath ragged, adrenaline still buzzing through their veins. And for a moment, none of them spoke. Then Asa glanced down at the body and let out a low whistle. Reckon that's what's been taking the folks. Wendy nodded. Yeah. Venus crossed her arms, looking toward the cave entrance where the storm still howled past. Picked the wrong damn night to keep hunting, didn't it? Wendy looked at the corpse a second longer. Something about it. It still didn't sit right. That howl earlier, that layered sound. But she pushed it down, because it didn't matter now. Target was done. Outside, wind began to shift. Not gone, but easing up a little bit. Just enough to tell you the worst had passed. Asa stretched her shoulders. So what now? Go tell TBI we handled it? Venus smirked faint. Yeah, or let the locals blame it on the tornado like they always do. Wendy turned turned toward the cave mouth, watching the rain lighten just a little. Ladies, we're done here. She stepped out into the storm, the others followed. Behind them, the cave sat quiet, dark, and still. Deep inside it, the body of the dog man lay broken, motionless, for now.